get undue pressure. The athlete already has pressure because the athlete would never have gotten to that level if they didn't want to win. So they have the pressure that they already put on themselves, and then there's the pressure from everyone around them, their family, everyone who's like, you're the best, and you kind of have that, your community, everything. And then you have the shoe company, and the shoe company, and folks, your coach has a plan, and it's like people might not understand that plan, but you've dealt with your coach, the plan, and you follow the plan, and it's like maybe that plan is not for you to run 12:90 the first track in Florida relays,
Right.
And it's like, but when you don't run that, that's when you get all that exterior stuff, like, oh, what's going on with him? You should have went to a different coach or whatever. So it's a lot to deal with, but it's life. You have to grow through that and be strong.
But I have the utmost respect for like people the more high profile people in the sport who have to deal with it. Like David in our sport, like Allison in the 2, Jet and Shellanne in the 1, people that, carry the event. Like that's hard.
Yeah.
Like that's hard. Like I got to fly under the radar a lot, and I'm thankful for
that. Yeah, I can see that as being just slightly easier path that you're not the one that they're focused on. Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's all still tough, and that's life.
True.
You want to win. This is what you're gonna do. If you don't want to experience pressure, then don't try. But you're still gonna get pressure from somewhere.
You're right. Don't get in a race if you don't want to win or lose.
Yeah. Now, so, you. Now, I mentioned this. I don't remember if I mentioned it before, but you were the honors college, and I wanted to go back to that because I'm always talking athletes and have the big brain athletes, man, because I don't like hearing the stereotypes about athletes not being smart. Yeah. And I shouldn't act like I hear that all the time, but I've heard it once or twice. People speak about it, like athletes feeling like people come to them like maybe you're not smart because you're an athlete. And so for you went to the honors college at SC. You came up with academics being a priority. Your family prioritized academics. Do you feel like you've encountered that in your career as a track and field athlete? Even when it comes to things like dealing with contracts and everything, do you feel like people had a perception of you as an athlete that maybe you weren't smart until you got to business, got to work?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a universal mantra that, athletes are supposed to be stupid, that they can't coexist in the same space. And I think what that's somewhat rooted in is the idea that there's a lot of the things that happen in sports that just don't make sense. Like it's hard to make sense of how it could just be somebody's day. How one day somebody can it all clicks. It's just hard to make sense of some of that track stuff. And so for somebody that does try to balance that, you do kind of have to check out from that sometimes. Like I couldn't think my way through races. Yes. I had to actually go ahead and turn that off and turn on my Lauren Williams and turn on my David Payne and say, I don't know how I'm going to get down this track, and I don't know how I'm gonna make this team, but I'm gonna make this team. But and just backpedaling to the idea that there are smart athletes out there. Also, the way the NCAA system is structured too also doesn't help. It's usually encouraged that you take the bare minimum number of credit hours in the easiest majors so that you can, just keep your scholarship.
Well, so that's the real debate, right? So my first major was engineering, and I'm at Cornell. So all I know is smart athletes, right, in Ivy League. So for me, it's like people think athletes aren't smart. Have you seen them? And then they graduate and get the best jobs and they're better than everyone at their jobs because they're super competitive. And I'm like, so I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense to me.
And I think that's a little bit like you're blessed to be in that Ivy situation.
Yeah.
But like I've been in probably like 3-4 professional training groups. The majority of them don't have their degree.
Really? So here, what is the real issue? Is it that
because they left early?
So I think you can take this all the way back to like what is being smart, because if you're somebody who track was the thing, it wasn't focusing on academics, it wasn't, but the NCAA system is the best training ground
Right.
for amateur athletes going pro, especially in track. You want to go through the NCAA.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So you may not necessarily, your whole thing is, I want to go to the Olympics. This is the path. It may not be, I want a degree, I want a job. So it's not that you're not smart. You just don't care about chemistry, and you never will care about chemistry.
I think
you're going to do the work.
I think kind of what we were talking about with winning too. I think redefining these terms are important.
Yeah.
Make no mistake, not nobody. I mean, learning in and of itself is generally not fun. It's something you want to do, like, like even these valedictorians and stuff like that, like they're trying to prove something to themselves by being so committed to every single subject. But if given a choice, nobody wants to study stuff they don't care about.